are back. Okay. Everything's just like it was. Nothing's changed. Picking up right where we left off. So, here we go. Stick you guys somewhere here so you can see real good. Might work. Remember what I told you about the spark plugs earlier? And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but everything, all the lights and everything out here right now is being ran off the generator. So yeah, it's still working pretty good. These are old spark plugs I used when I was painting the heads after I got them back from the machine shop. And it's probably not recommended to use spark plugs with paint on them to plug your line, your fuel line with, because they'll probably eat the paint and make a mess. But I'm not going to be reusing this fuel line, so it does not matter. Be prepared for a little squirt of gas. See how nicely that fits in there, all the way down to the end of the spark plug, and then you can just tighten your hose clamp back. That's not going to leak any gas at all. See that right there? Easy. Then you can just lay that aside for now. Pull your vacuum line off, pull your PCV valve. Go ahead and pull that off, flip it around so it's out of the way. So I like to keep that plugged so no dirt or anything gets in there. Take your springs off. Nice noise. Chevy stamp steel valve cover. Throttle linkage. Take that off. Okay. Vacuum line for the brake booster. Take that off. Flip it around. Get it out of your way. And flip that around like that. At this point, you are ready to pull the carburetor. There's nothing else attached to it. It's just 4 bolts. And another thing, on an aluminum carburetor, on an aluminum manifold like that, especially if you're running a spacer plate, loosen the bolts gradually. Don't just take one all the way out and move to the next one. Actually, so I'm doing this one-handed. Actually take the time to give it just like, where are we at? Give it just like a little bit of a turn, a little bit of a turn. Just a little bit. And that one I got to use a wrench on. You get the idea. Don't just back them all the way off all at once. Just loosen them just a little bit at a time. Until you ease the pressure off of it. And then you can just take them all the way loose and take the bolts all the way out. Hope I got the shot of me doing that. Probably not. Probably should move the lights around. Can't see what I'm doing back here, but maybe you can. I don't know. It's really hard to do this one-handed. First off, it's hard to do this and run the camera and pay attention to what I'm doing that. I set them bolts aside right here on the truck. They don't go very far because this is only off to there for a second. Anyway, let me set this. Let me use 2 hands here. I like this Gorilla Pod mount thing. Pretty cool. I resorted to putting my flannel shirt back on because the mosquitoes are horrible out here. Thought there was something pulling on this. We missed one. Come around here. Don't forget your second throttle return spring. You need to take that off too. Put it in the bucket. I run one little one like this on the bottom side and a trampoline spring on the top side. I mean, it's not actually a trampoline spring, but it might as well be, because I like the throttle plates to close when I let off the gas. Every now and then this thing gets all twisted up from twisting the frame, and the cab mounts and things are rusted, and yeah, it likes to stick the throttle wide open, and that's not good for new engines. So I was real sure to drop that washer. I was sure to put plenty of spring on this thing when I built it. Come on, don't drop the washer. At least drop it someplace cool where it's easy to get to, like right there. Alrighty then. That one just don't have a lock washer, and that one's got the lock washer on the wrong side. I wasn't paying attention when I did that. Anyway, now you can just lift off the carburetor, walk it in, set it in someplace clean. If you hold it by the center stud, a Holley's balanced by the center stud, so it keeps you from tipping it. Don't tip these or you'll leak gas everywhere. And if you keep the gas in them, it makes them starting them up so much easier. I'm just going to set this right there on the toolbox for right now. So I am going to probably clean that. That's ridiculous. That breather has failed me miserably. Holy cow, that's dirty. That's great for a brand new engine, you know. So let's run a bunch of dirt through it. There's so many mosquitoes in here right now. Oh, forgot something. Of course, it's behind all this stuff. Holy crap! La 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 la. Don't freaking copyright violate me, fuckers. Turn that music off. Didn't realize that was on. Get some things out of the way here because I need something. That's a new gasket. Let me tear that up. Damn it. Let go of my thumb. Okay. I use this spacer plate that got gacked one day. Somebody pried it off their engine. Apparently, I use this spacer plate. What I don't do is leave this gasket on there. I do take that, it's brand new, so it comes right off. I take that and put it with the carburetor, because all that stuff matches the bottom of the carburetor. And you want to put it on exactly like you took it off, that way it don't leak. Just going on the same carburetor, going on the same manifold, using the same gasket. It's fine, but what I do, grab my plate here. What I do is I use this spacer plate with a gasket on it. Put the gasket side down. Line up all the bolt holes. And that protects your manifold from the bottom side of this plate. That I built a long time ago. That's one of the first things I ever welded. It's not the greatest in the world, but it does work. But it's drilled out for like multiple carburetors and manifolds. You can see I've used that a lot over the years, but that protects that from this scratching it up and stuff. Always make sure that's good and clean when you put it on there too, because you don't want to get a bunch of garbage down in your engine. Until I've done this a time or two, because I know exactly where all the bolt holes go. Whoops, I've moved something. That one lines up, that one lines up, that one and that one. Yep. The way she goes. And then the bolts you just took out of your carburetor, right into that bad boy. And that plate also helps with the thickness, that way you don't have to add washers and crap to your already too long bolts that you've had to add washers and crap to. I didn't have the right bolts. Like, you figure you buy an intake manifold and a carburetor and everything to build up a whole entire engine, spend like all this freaking money. You think that they throw in 4 bolts to hold down a carburetor, but no. I had to buy all that stuff. Well, actually, that's the only thing I didn't buy, because I had them out of the last intake manifold that had a quarter junk on it that was adapted over to an elder choke. Blah, blah, blah. Let's get busy here. Where in the heck is my ratchet? Did I drop the ratchet? I bet I dropped the ratchet. Oh no, we got tools missing in action. Where would that be? I just used it to, there it is, it almost dropped out. It tried to take off on us. That's not cool. Snug them down a little bit at a time. Make sure you get them all pretty damn snug. Don't like Superman tighten them, just get them pretty daggone snug. Like I usually actually do only tighten them up one-handed with my palm in the ratchet, so I can't over tighten them. And then that's solid. Now you can hook your cherry picker up, but actually there's more things I need to do before I can do that. I gotta unhook the throttle bracket, which is right there. So, okay, so we got one of these things. I'll just set you up over here. Much easier just to do this stuff two-handed and get it done so much faster. That was already loose. It's not a good sign. When I first forgot to tighten that, it came loose. No! Don't lose it. yet another reason you got to take the distributor off. This last intake manifold bolt holds your throttle bracket on, cable bracket or whatever the hell it's called. You got to take that out. Always like to put that back in there and snug it up. Just because of this aluminum manifold. Alright. Yep. Now that you got that out of the way, get you, I think it's a 3/8 or 7/16. I think it's actually a 3/8. Take your oil line off, or if you got a manual, or if you got a digital one, you want to hook your wires, blah blah blah. This is just what I'm doing on my engine. This is not necessarily what you're going to be doing on your engine. Take that, get it out of the way really good. Manual temperature sensor, that's got to go. Have to use a wrench. Boy, I just keep bunting myself in the knee that I cut over today. Get that out of the way. Good enough. Now you can swing this back over out of the way. That's where you can get to the power steering pump, which I'm going to be using that power steering pump, but I'm not going to, I don't know, I might actually just leave that on there and disconnect the lines. From the gearbox. Normally I take this power steering pump up hill. Camera's pointed like not in the right freaking place. Okay, normally I take the power steering pump off and I just lay it over here to the side, leave the belt hanging. But in this case I'm going to be using that on the other engine, so I think I'm just going to leave it right where it's at and disconnect them two lines, which I probably didn't bring the right wrench out for these. Nope. I got every tool I need right here to do this and take this out, but I didn't bring a wrench for those two lines. So let me go grab the appropriate sized wrench. I need like Mountain Dew or something. Dr. Pepper ain't got enough caffeine for me tonight. It's 3/4 or 11/16. I cannot remember. My toolbox is a mess. 13/16, so grab that just in case. No 11/16 wrench anywhere? Come on now. 3/4, 19 millimeter. Blah, blah, blah. Where is it? I'm not seeing it. That's not cool. I know it's got to be in here. Unless it's already out there. Shoot, this stuff thing's making me look like an idiot on camera. Alright, well it must already either be out there or somewhere else. Hopefully it's one of these two sizes. That's too big. Yep. It's too big. Nah, yep. Damn it, it isn't it? There's 11/16. Where would I put that? This is funny. 15. 15/16. All this is bull crap. I think that's it. 19mm rounds. Same as a 3/4. Come on, man. You gotta be kidding me. Well, this is bull crap. This is bull crap. Did I already hang it back on the wall? Like, what the hell is going on here? Nope. This is complete bull crap. I need an 11/16 wrench. Now. Stay tuned for the next episode if I can't find my freaking tools. Okay. You kidding me? How does this happen? Now let's go on a journey. See, damn it, I took down all my wrenches in here. The 15/16. Where is the 11/16 wrench? It's got to be either laying on the bench. Freaking toolbox. It's totally not though. Wow, this really sucks. I don't know how this happens. All you need is one thing and you can't find it. How in the hell does this happen? Okay, so yeah. That's awesome. How about a pipe wrench? Channel lock at this point. I'm getting irritated. Make do with what you got. Where's the damn channel locks? Can't believe I ain't got a freaking 11/16 wrench. That's just ridiculous, man. Yeah, that's weird. Pretty sure I'm going to need that for the motor mount too. Well, that's great. So that just twisted right off. Why even bother taking that off? I'll take the line off of that one. It's by no means even close to being tight. That's cool. Probably what was leaking. I should have checked on things like that. Started on this truck, but I totally didn't. And by the way, you're going to leak tire steering fluid everywhere, so get your bucket ready. Which I did not. Kind of forgot about that part. Honestly, I'm a little irritated. This line kinked on me. This other one looks new, so it shouldn't do that, I hope. Get this one out of the way to get the other one out. That's junk. That was already loose. That's a good sign. I was wondering why all this stuff was leaking. Okay. High pressure sides are off, low pressure sides are off. It's leaking fluid everywhere. So That's done. It's the first time all night I've needed a rag. I don't believe how clean my hands still are. You love it, gunk it. Keep that shit clean. You know what? I think at this point all we got left to do is that there fuel line and the bell housing bolts and the motor mounts, and we can strip this thing out in the starter. Or just connect the wires off the starter, leave the starter attached, which I actually might do. It makes it harder to get out of the bell housing though. I don't know. I might just leave it on there. Hell with it. Just take that off. Watch it. It'll be the size wrench that I can't find. It'll be an 11/16. Hoping I can use a socket on that. Yep. That's the money. Word of the wise, put your sockets back up when you're done using them. That way they're there when you need them next time. Surprisingly loose. It's like this engine vibrates things loose. Ooh, wow. Looks like I'm glad I'm doing this. What the hell? Okay. This was about to burn my truck down. Looks like it got a little hot trying to start this engine. Where is this thing? Gotta love American. Am I even getting that in the shot? Probably not. I can't look at what I'm doing and look at the camera. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm taking the wires off the starter if you're wondering what I'm doing. Trying not to lose the nut. Yeah, this is totally about to burn my truck down, man. It's freaking awesome. It'd be really cool if it would just come off there. Check this out. It's all melted and the coating's falling off. That's got pretty hot at some point or another. See, the wiring in this truck is a complete disaster. Why did that just fall apart? Yeah, the wiring on this truck is a nightmare. There's like clips going into clips that hold clips together. That's like, there are wires connected into wires connected to other wires, like to these little clip connectors, and it's just like a cobbled up mess of bullshit. Okay, 28 minutes in, we ain't got much accomplished. Get that fuel line off that fuel pump right there, and then bell housing bolts. We're ready to yank this thing out. So, here we go. Can't see that one bit, but it's there, trust me. All you gotta do is get a screwdriver and loosen it up. Once you get it loose, where it's ready to pull off there, get your good old spark plug handy. Get down here and see if I can get you a shot. Pull that fuel line off there. It's gonna gush a bunch of gasoline, and in my case it's not for some reason, even though it's got a full tank of gas. But that spark plug, just ram it home. Tighten up your clamp, and then you can just throw it aside and not have to worry about it leaking gas all over stuff later. Ouch. I think I need a shittier screwdriver here. Hang on. Let me see if I got a razor blade I could use for a screwdriver. Come on. Everything I got's about halfway wore out. All my tools. Okay. Tuck that neatly out of the way, and a random mess of lines just down in there. Now then, the only thing left we got to do is bell housing bolts, which is only 6 of them, and 2 motor mount bolts. And then we'll lift this puppy out of there, and yeah, it'll be out of there. And then I gotta figure out how to get it from like the cherry picker into my shop on an engine hoist or an engine stand. So I guess this is 30 minutes in now. I'm gonna take a break for a minute, and I gotta move all the lights and stuff underneath the truck. And I gotta get underneath the truck and, like, you know, get a creeper under there and stuff. Set up tools under there I'm gonna need, which all I really need under the truck is a 9/16 wrench. Pretty much it. If I remember right, there might be one spring you gotta take off on the clutch linkage, but I don't think there is. I think no, there ain't. So yeah, a 9/16 wrench, and I need to get a jack underneath there at the block of wood so I can jack up the transmission and hold it up while I pull the engine and get the engine mounts out. If your engine mounts are installed correctly with the engine just sitting there, you should be able to pull the bolt right out of it. Like, if you can't do that, something's wrong. But anyway, this is the end of part 2. I'm getting super freaking tired. I'm going to try to test through this and get this done tonight. So I will see you guys in part 3. Stay tuned.